Caught my father, m42, in a lie. Should I, m18, just cut my losses and cut him off from my life? My life was put upside down for the past weeks. TLDR is that I found out my mother did not abandon me but tried to commit and was deemed an unfit parent due to her mental issues. She was giving my father $3,000 a month as child support. $1.5K was court-mandated, $1.5K was out of her own will. I also found court records of my father being charged with physically assaulting my mother on more than one occasion. So after staying for a while with my boyfriend, I decided to go home for a while because I wanted to get my legal documents and all of that. My father came back home and we talked a bit. I just asked him, by the way, did my mother never send you child support for me? My father just scoffed theatrically and went on this rant about how courts are always accessible to the mother and how they told him he couldn't expect anything from her and so on. He pulled that whole story of him begging her for money when he didn't have enough money for my school supplies and her turning him down. I know this is a lie. My mother kept itemized records of all her money wires to my father. Every month since she had a job. Meaning for over 15 years she has sent my father money. In the beginning, she sends him $400. Then $600, then $1,000, and eventually $3,000. Then he kept talking, saying how hard it was. That he wished he would have gone after her more. But that the courts were not in his favor. He told me how even now we were barely able to go paycheck to paycheck. His rant was surreal. After he left to go, God knows where, I went snooping through his room where I found a stack of cash in his sock drawer. It was over $5K crammed into the back of his drawer. Things are getting worse. I feel so weird. I cannot describe the ick. I have all my documents and wrote my mother so we could maybe meet again. Should I just ghost my father? Hey, Dad? You know what I heard is the first thing they teach you in law school? Never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. Now, do you want to change your answer to the child support question or keep lying to me? You're owed that money, but I think you need to prioritize a safe situation before there's any confrontation with your dad. Your mom and boyfriend both sound lovely and supportive. Keep mobilizing those support systems. I can't imagine what you're feeling right now. Know that you've got your mom, your loved ones, and Reddit and behind you and sending all the strength. I think you should be more cool-headed about this. If anything, ghosting your father would stop any sort of money coming your way, right? Start making a plan on becoming independent, and work towards that. Also, start collecting evidence that your father has been getting paid your mother. Looks like he enjoys making your mom look bad. Like he punishes her for something. It's terrible, really. I'm sorry. Lol whelp, get your documents and go. If you have your mom's contact, see if she can legally stop CS if you aren't staying with your dad. If he asks, you can tell him you know he's been lying. I think you need some time to yourself while you adjust to this new reality. Right now is not a good time to talk to him because you wouldn't know what to say and you don't have the mental strength right at this moment to sort through the lies and be. Right now you're kind of overwhelmed. Give yourself a little time and then come back to it when you feel stronger. When you can put on your poker face and listen to his lies and be able to sort through the truth and lie as he talks. How to help daughter grieve her plant. My daughter, 6, had an onion named Oni that she was taking care of for a long time. It died recently and she's devastated. Like sobbing and everything. I've been trying to comfort her, but I don't know how well it's been helping her. What can I do to help her feel better? She said that she loves her and all she wants is to have her back. It's breaking my heart and I don't know what to do. Too long did not read. How can I help my daughter with the loss of her plant? Edit. Thank you all for your ideas and kind words. She is the sweetest person I have ever met, so seeing her like this was rough, but she is doing a bit better now. It looks like maybe root rot? Tomorrow I am going to go to a nursery to see if there is anything we can do to save it, but to be honest it looks really bad. She asked for a new onion seed to try again, and some kind of plant that will last a long time. So that's the plan for now. She ended up wanting to cuddle and watch movies for the rest of the day and it seemed to help. Thanks again and I hope you all have a good day. 2 hearts. How exactly did it die? Onions are bulbs, so if the outside plant lived its life and dried up it still could come back. Cut it back and see if it can try again. Oh my god, this is so heckin' adorable. Buy this girl a Boston fern. They're so fun and fluffy, and they grow forever. When the fern sends out new runners they unroll. It looks like something out of a fairy tale. Tell her about the Lion King circle of life and that life comes from decomposition. Crush up the remains and ritualistically sprinkle it under a tree and tell her the tree is grateful that she is feeding it. A mini onion funeral. Give some time and try again when she's ready. That's a tough one. What about trying to get another onion? Or maybe more than one? Even though the first is irreplaceable and she is grieving. Comfort her by telling her it's not her fault by any means. Let her grieve. It's sad, she needs to go through it. Once she done with crying, suggest maybe draw a picture of Ono. Express you're sorry for her loss. You can get another plant to care for, but don't do it instantly. It's not a replacement and not to stop grieving, but because it's nice to have a plant. Ask your daughter if she prefers same type or a different one. This is probably one of those things that only time can heal. Maybe you can try to distract her with some new activities, maybe a small trip somewhere nearby. My boyfriend always oversteps boundaries with me, and it makes me uncomfortable. I, 19F, am dating my boyfriend, 19M, for a few months now. We were friends prior to dating and he knows pretty much everything about me. Due to my past, I don't feel comfortable with physical touch, including just holding hands or sitting close together. He, however, is pretty touchy with me every time we are together. When I say don't want to hold hands, he grabs it anyway, disregarding the fact that I've communicated it to him that it makes me uncomfortable. When I say I don't want to, he gets all upset and doesn't want to talk to me. It makes me feel like I'm a bad GF. I know that holding hands is pretty innocent, but it makes me feel like he doesn't respect my boundaries, and since we have only been dating for a few months, I feel like he would do much worse. I love him, but I'm considering breaking up with him because of this. Am I doing the right choice? Edit. Since we have only been dating a few months, I feel like he would do something much worse in the future. From your edit, it sounds like you're worried he might sexually assault you in the future. I would not be able to date someone I was worried about that with. But if you do want to stay with him, have you sat down and had a serious conversation with him about why you're not comfortable with touch? Maybe if he understood better, he'd behave differently. You shouldn't have to do that, but if you're determined to stay, that could help. Also, if it upsets you that you can't touch or be touched, and you want to change that, you could talk to a therapist. Don't do it just to keep him happy, but if it's something that you want. Can't hold hands, let alone sit next to you? What are you in a relationship for then? I think you should focus on yourself and healing before you decide to get into a romantic relationship. It makes me feel like he doesn't respect my boundaries. Because he doesn't respect your boundaries. Your gut is right, op. Let this man go. I hope you recognize that this is going to come up in every relationship. You're going to have to find some way to tackle this eventually. Good luck, op. Just be single if literally touching or holding hands triggers your PTSD. You shouldn't have even gotten into a relationship if you're not even ready to hold hands. What do you expect from a relationship? End the relationship for his sake. You have two very different love languages. And you aren't even considerate of his. As someone who is very touchy-feely, I could not be with someone who didn't let me touch them. That being said, you can make it work, just need to compromise. You don't like to be touched. But he needs to touch. So give him touch time, whether it's a hand or a thigh. Something he can feel connected to you, because that's how he feels love, connection. You two should not be together. You don't like physical touch and he does. That's a pretty extreme thing to be on opposite sides about in a romantic relationship. Plus your edit suggests you fear he may sexually assault you. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a pretty damn big jump to think, but the fact that you fear that at all means you shouldn't be dating him. Hell, you probably shouldn't really be friends if that's a fear of yours. Either way, you two are just not compatible. Break it off now, and if you want, just remain friends. My nice neighbor doesn't respect boundaries. I thought some boundaries were common sense. I guess not. My 30F neighbor, 44F, is around too much for my comfort. I live in an apartment building and at this point I'm literally sneaking out of my apartment so she doesn't stop me and chat up a storm. She doesn't know when to stop and I find exiting the conversations impossible cause she just doesn't listen. Whenever I try to say hey I'm busy or whatever, she tends to say, let me finish, I'm almost done. She has followed me around chatting on multiple occasions. Last week I timed one of her one-sided chats and it was 58 minutes. She talked about people I don't know. And her job for 58 minutes. I said 2 things during that time. On top of chatting me up in person, she calls and texts daily. If I don't answer, she's at my door. She has barged into my apartment without knocking several times. I recently started making sure the door is locked at all times. She exposed herself to me once after I told her to please knock in case I'm naked. She pulled her pants and underwear down and said, "Look, you've seen me naked, it's no big deal." She has texted me nudes showing me what her body looked like 10 years ago or whatever. I feel so irritated having her around ever since she purposely exposed me to COVID. She barged into my apartment without even texting or calling to rant about her job that I don't give a fuck about. I asked her to leave and she didn't until her whole rant was done. I feel that in her mind she thinks she's really interesting. She seems to be suffering from grandiose delusions and lacks self-awareness. Which I feel mean even typing. I've lived in this building for 3 years and I've seen her have company like 10 times total. She works from home and only seems to socialize with people in the building, so I feel a bit bad for her. But she is making me want to move. I feel I have no privacy at home. I know I only put the bad parts. But she is a nice person, she has helped me out without me even having to ask several times, and I think that matters. How do I politely and sternly set boundaries? Edit. Thanks a lot for the responses. I honestly didn't realize just how inappropriate this all is. I'll be tougher on her, and if things don't change I'm gonna talk to management about breaking my lease over her. Hopefully they can help. Also, I realize how weird it is that I wasn't locking my door. I have a dog and felt awful after I got locked out once and had to wait for maintenance. Started keeping the door unlocked after that. I never had an issue or felt unsafe until recently. I'm now making sure that door is always locked. My mom is similar to this, so I have advice. You have to make her dislike you. You will put up strict boundaries, which she does not understand. She will not know the difference between boundaries and insult or meanness. That's okay. You can't make her understand anything, and it's not your job to teach her social skills. The only way to handle these people is to handle them like puppies or children. Tell them firmly plus explicitly what your boundaries and expectations are. Don't tell her all your rules at once, only tell her in the situation. She won't be able to connect the abstract rules with past behavior. Tell her very sternly that she cannot walk into your house without knocking. If she walks in, simply tell her to go out and that you're busy, need privacy. I don't think polite works here. If polite was your method, then that's a major contributor to this happening. There's no way you can do this without putting a dent in her feelings. Hurt them, in other words. Say, "Look, you're a cool friend, but you got to stop bugging me all the time. And stop hitting on me. I don't like it." And tell her whatever else is up. No way around it. Sorry. Your neighbor doesn't seem like a nice person to me. She seems like a pushy, selfish person. Why are you all acting so calm about this? I would go to the fucking police. Breaking and entering, indecent exposure, sending non-consensual pornography, and of course harassment. Get a damn restraining order at minimum. Edit. In the US, many states also have laws about intentionally exposing someone to a contagious disease. This woman is a menace. No wonder no one visits her. I know I only put the bad parts. But she is a nice person, she has helped me out without me even having to ask several times, and I think that matters. I think you need to first not ask for her help, or let her help with anything. Close that down. I'd block her number, don't open the door if she knocks, refuse to stop when she ambushes you. You can't be subtle with people like this. Unfortunately, she's already been given too much rope, so you'll have to be firm. It's not mean to set up boundaries with intrusive people.